live as though each person is our neighbor. We are called to build a community that holds all its people in loving care. And so we are called to build a world where no more innocent lives are lost to gun violence, no, not one more. We know that this is a vision held in common by all our separate faith traditions and by all people of goodwill. Today, in witnessing to the lives lost and the lives harmed by violence, in honoring the precious beauty of those lives, our hearts must surely break. How can they not? And the gap between the vision we hold and the reality we find seems terrible and sometimes unbridgeable. But as people of goodwill and as people of faith, we are called not only to witness to our human worth and to call us back to our common destiny, we are called to be keepers of hope for our community. We believe that love is stronger than violence, stronger than fear. And seeing all the people who have come together today to witness, to care for one another, to remember, to pledge to our common humanity, can we doubt the power of the love that exists in our community and our communities? Can we doubt the power of the love that exists in our city of Indianapolis, in our great state of Indiana? Can we doubt the power of the love that binds us together? And so, may we pray. God of many names, God too great to be named, God whose name is love, help us to hold on to your promise, even as we grieve, even as our hearts break, that love will have the final word and life will have the final answer. God, fill us with hope that we may speak that word, and give us strength that we may be that answer. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Rieger. Next speaker would be representing the Baha'i Faith and the Baha'i Temple, Sher Gupta.
I am honored to be with you today. My sincere condolences for your loss and pain. The loss in your family is also the loss our community bears. My dear neighbors, I will share a prayer with you from Abdul Baha, the very important and distinguished figure in the Baha'i faith, and concepts from our universal house of justice. But first, the prayer. O thou unseen friend, O desire of all in this world and the world to come, O thou compassionate beloved, these helpless souls are captivated by thy love, and these feeble ones seek shelter at thy threshold. Every night they sigh and moan in their remoteness from thee, and every morning lament and weep by reason of the onslaught of the people of malice. They are afflicted at every moment with a fresh anguish, and are sore tired at every breath by the tyranny of every wicked oppressor. Praise be to thee that notwithstanding this, they are ablaze as a temple of fire and shine resplendent as the sun and the moon. They stand tall, like upraised banners in the cause of God, and hasten like valiant horsemen into the arena. They have bloomed like sweet blossoms and are filled with joy like the laughing rose. Wherefore, O thou loving provider, graciously assist these holy souls by thy heavenly grace, which is vouchsafed from thy kingdom, and grant that these sanctified beings may manifest the signs of the Most High. Thou art the all-bountiful, the pitiful, the all-merciful, the compassionate. Dear friends, be careful and vigilant. Do not be swept up in a spirit of fear or darkness engendered by the destructiveness of our society, but rather devote your energies to building up a new world as well-wishers of humanity for an ever-advancing civilization, as positive agents of change, as truthful, just, and fair-minded individuals in your endeavors. In this light, you are encouraged to identify other like-minded individuals, both from within your community as well as from the wider society, with whom you can collaborate in learning how to address pressing social issues. Consider community building. Start in your neighborhood. Projects and activities for social action and involvement in the discourses of society. Start simply. Meet new people, a new friend, perhaps. Learn from them and offer some things they may learn from you. You may be assured of the humble supplications of your friends, family, and co-religionists as you drawn further into the life of society and work alongside others to address the chronic problems of our society and that of the world, that your path will be illumined, your steps guided, and your hearts inspired. I will leave you with a quotation from Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. O people of God, give ear unto that which, if heeded, will ensure the freedom, well-being, tranquility, exaltation, and advancement of all men. Peace be with it.
Thank you, Ms. Gupta. Next, I would request from the Jain community of Central Indiana, Ms. Sonal Sangani.
Sat Shri Akal. I'm grateful to the Sikh community for organizing this event, which is very unifying and gives all of us to come together. I also want to thank Center for Interfaith Cooperation, which does wonderful interfaith work in Central Indiana. Although we are here on this somber occasion, the presence of all these different faiths confirms that we are all striving for a peaceful future for everyone. Our last Jain Tirthankara, Lord Mahavira, knew of his approaching death. His chief disciple, Indrabhuti Gautam, was very attached to Lord Mahavira. So Lord Mahavira was preparing Indrabhuti for what was coming in the following verse. As the leaf of the tree falls to the ground when its days are gone, even so the life of men, women, and children will come to an end. Gautama, be careful all the while. As a dewdrop clinging to the top of thin grass blade, lasts but for a short time, even so, the life of men, women, and children will come to an end. Gautama, be careful all the while. These passages highlight the fragility of life. If we lived our daily lives with this at the forefront, with purpose and gratefulness, we would probably not be here today. In these passages, Lord Mahavira was also reminding Indrabhuti Gautam that although he was going to die, his soul was eternal. Jains believe that the soul is separate from the body and that the soul is eternal. If an individual lives a moral, religious life, the soul becomes increasingly pure and elevates towards liberation. So Jains take comfort in knowing that although the lives of these particular men, women, and young adults came to a sudden end, but their souls have probably taken rebirth in a pleasant, elevated situations that are favorable to their continued progress of the soul. So Matthew Alexander, Samaria Blackwell, Amarjit Johal, Jaswinder Kaur, Jaswinder Singh, Amarjit Shekhon, Carly Smith, and John Weissert, may you all rest in peace and your souls progress in their eternal journey. Keeping true to my faith, I need to forgive the soul of Brandon Scott Hole as well. For all the families that are here today, we are truly sorry, and I hope that the interfaith community of Central Indiana brought some solace to you. I hope you find strength to move forward and you find peace. We stand with you. वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह.
Thank you so very much, Sonal Sanghani. Next representative has come all the way from Houston. He's a great philanthropist, a Sikh activist, a scientist, and a great American citizen, Dr. Hardam Singh Azad.
To all those who are still with us after 3 hours of speeches and videos, if you noticed, they were all sympathizers of the Sikh community, but not Sikhs themselves. So it would be appropriate for me as a first Sikh speaker to thank all those who came here to show solidarity with us. Sometime I have heard among about 700,000 Sikhs that call United States home today, and about 25 million Sikhs worldwide, we are a force to contend with, but the first generation immigrants are afflicted with a disease typically that's called Sanuki. They don't get involved. I know there are many more Sikhs that reside in Indianapolis than even at the peak were in these stands. But those who are here ought to recognize that they are among still the pioneers. Yes, when occasions like this, tragic occasions they are, when they happen, we get together for what purpose? Yes, many speakers told us the purpose is to console the families, celebrate those who are gone, console the individuals that are still recovering from their injuries. But there is another important aspect. We are an important part of this fabric of a great nation that is right now going through a new test. And I wanted to educate us who are here a little bit on that sort of thing. So I'm a little bit different from the other speakers so far in that regard. Since a gun was involved in this and many other recent human tragedies, many immediately proposed and demanded additional gun control legislation as a definite solution to this ongoing serious societal problem. Since many of the victims were members of minority communities, the same gun control howlers also cited this as evidence of white supremacy and hate crimes. You heard some of that today. In my view, this tragic event and many others over the last few years were caused mostly by diseased minds, mind control, not gun control. And not by some hate-mongering white people. Right now, you simply want others to share your grief and provide you some comfort. Those are the comments that we heard, and very, very eloquent words. Finding the root cause of this horrendous problem comes later. But regardless of how many of us shout systemic discrimination and pass additional tough gun control legislation, the diseased minds will not get healed, and unfortunately, these tragedies will continue. I have been here since 1963, so I have a little bit of experience of going through this. Diversionary and absolutely false statements from our leaders, such as systemic discrimination, white supremacy, woke culture, critical race theory, in the United States of 2021 have badly polarized us. They have stopped our common progress. These lies produce bitterness, disappointment, disgust, mistrust, and grief, etc., but never any solutions. So how do we reduce that rancor which now exists and move forwards towards real solutions? Let me suggest that we focus on what unites us and not on what divides us. Why did the tens of millions of immigrants, including us Sikhs from Punjab, move to the United States over the last many decades? It's a question. Why are they still immigrating more illegally now than legally in droves? Almost unanimous answers would be economic opportunity and individual freedom. We all believed and still believe in the American dream, where we could transcend and have transcended our meager origins through education, hard work, and good citizenship. Has America not provided us all that and more? If it has, why are we all not grateful and indebted to those who built such a great society and economy? Any smears against those great founding men who happen to be born with white skins are unfair, unjustified, and self-destructive. I know my time is limited. I'm going to skip some of the comments that I had prepared for a larger local audience. This is basically introducing Sikhs to them. Continuing on with what I left, judging 17th century men with 21st century invented human and civil rights standards is neither fair nor beneficial for our common good. Founders did not create or support slavery. For long, they abolished it. About 700,000 soldiers out of a total population of 25 million then shed their blood during the Civil War to achieve emancipation for the slaves. Why is that not enough atonement or reparation for their past sins? Freedom and equality under the law has been won for all races and genders through the valiant efforts of many patriots, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King's dream and standard was content of character, not color of skin. identity-based Marxism, the critical race theory, which is very common, pervasive today in the United States, has it upside down, where skin color trumps character content. These socialist thugs have invented us such euphemisms as equity, social justice, diversity, inclusion to replace freedom and equalities under the law for all. Equity is something you earn, save, and invest. Not something you say somebody owes you. These neo-Marxists would overturn the principles of the US Declaration of Independence and destroy the remaining structure of our Constitution to create another savage world order such as Russia or China. The socialist revolutions in the 20th century killed about 100 million people of their own. Critical race theory today in the United States is nothing but camouflaged revolution by Marxists. What was gained for or by the common man? Instead of going on and on with this critical race theory, I would close by requesting that we have all heard eloquent words from political leaders as well as from church leaders, and we are now a very significant, important part of this fabric that we call United States of America. We are to participate more. We should certainly assert ourselves. The Sikh ideals are almost in complete alignment with the US Declaration of Independence and US Constitution. Since our facially required hair and turbans distinguish us so readily from the rest of the people, we get noticed. At that point, we have an opportunity. What does a salesman require? Notice. We get noticed. How do we behave? How do we interact with our neighbors, coming from Houston, I want to appreciate all the gurdwaras here who have arranged this function and made this function possible. It is these kinds of activities that diverse people will come together at and cause what has been written here, create a brighter future for us all. With these words, I thank you very much for listening. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I have some words with me. I'm sharing on behalf of Valerie Kaur, who's a prominent Sikh activist. She shares, last week, 10,000 people gathered from across the country for a virtual vigil to stand in solidarity with you. We are pleased to present a video from the speakers in the vigil. You will hear from our nature's faith leaders, movement leaders, artists, and activists from every background. As you listen, we invite you to feel their love and support for you today. We will now show the video from Valerie Kaur. So while we, I think, fix the sound issue for the video, I would like to present, I'd like to read a message, from the organizers of the Solidarity Vigil, the Revolutionary Love Project, Faith in Action, in partnership with 145 organizations across the country. Here is their message to you. To the families in Indianapolis, we present you each with a book that contains thousands of messages of love and solidarity from people across the country. You are not alone. We are with you. If we have representatives of the family, we will present the books to each family right now. May they be lasting testaments to our love and solidarity. And again, this message is from Valerie Kaur. Okay, so I'd like to present the first book to the family of Amarjit Singh.
Bole so nihal,
Sat Sri Akal. I'd like to present the next book to the family of Amarjit Jal. Sat Sri Akal. I'd like to present the next book to the family of Jasvinder Singh. Sat Sri Akal. And finally, I'd like to present the last book to the family of Jasvinder Kaur. Sat Sri Akal. And I will note that we have the other 4 books. They will be delivered to the other families. Thank you again, and thank you for the messages from Valerie Kaur.
I would also like to go ahead and take this moment and thank all the family members for coming out here. Losing my father when I was a senior in high school, I know what is going through those kids' minds. I know they're very uncertain about their future. What would happen to them? Who would fill in the gaps of the loved ones? But I would like to thank them and appreciate them that they have the courage. They mustered the courage to come up to stage, to stand among us, and answer their community when our community is telling them that we are with you, and they have nodded their heads, saying that they acknowledge and appreciate our kind gestures. But once again, I'd like to remind them that the Lord Almighty has a plan for everyone. As when I lost my father, it seemed it was the end of the world. But over time, what I've learned is that although the gap is always there in my heart, but the comfort provided by the community has definitely lessened the pain. Next, we will be calling names of the 5 Sikh organizations who have taken a leading role in bringing this program to reality, putting all the ideas together, doing all the legwork behind the scenes. The first representative is Gurvinder Singh, who will be speaking on behalf of United Sikhs.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਕਾਲਪੁਰ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਨੇ ਇਹ ਸਬੱਬ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਸਕੀਏ। ਪਰ ਇਹ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੁੰਨੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਵਿੱਢ ਸਕੀਏ, ਕੱਢ ਸਕੀਏ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਇਕੱਠ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਨਾ ਹੋਣ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ। So on behalf of United Sikhs as the International Humanitarian Aid Director, when we remember the sacrifice of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, because this month is the Agman Purb, the bestowment day of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib in the Sikh faith, the 9th prophet, the 9th Guru of the Sikhs. Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, when we talk about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, when we talk about standing up for your fellow man, when you talk about lending your hand to those who are not able to pick themselves up, Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib is met by an envoy of Hindu priests, because Aurangzeb at the time is killing thousands and thousands and converting them forcefully as the leader of the Mughal Empire. So as these priests come to Guru Sahib to ask for assistance, and they say that Aurangzeb is looking for a high priest to come to him and sacrifice himself, and that is the only way that we will be able to survive. Guru Gobind Singh Ji at that time is 10 years old. And he says to Guru Sahib, his own father, at the age of 10, that Guru Sahib, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਮਹਾਪੁਰਖ ਕੌਣ ਆ? Who is a bigger saint than you? Imagine that, a 10-year-old telling his own father to face certain death. Guru Sahib goes to Delhi along with 3 Sikhs who are brutally tortured in front of him. They are sawn in half. They are boiled alive. They are burned alive to scare. And keep in mind, this is occurring for Hindu priests, for which the Sikh faith has no relation to in terms of religion. We do not believe in the same deity or the same principles. But Guru Sahib stood for humanity and to help those and to show us that words ring hollow, but actions ring true. That is a fact that the Sikh nation carries forward. We are blessed. Guru ne kirpa ਕੀਤੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਤੇ, ਇੰਨਾ ਵਡਮੁੱਲਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਸਾਡੀ ਝੋਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਇਆ। ਕਈ ਵਾਰ ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਦ ਮੈਂ ਸਕੂਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ, 16 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ BMW ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹਨੇ 6 ਮਹੀਨਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਐਕਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਕਰਾ ਲੈਣਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਾਪੂ ਨੇ ਨਵੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਦੇ ਦੇਣੀ ਆ। ਸਾਡੇ ਵਰਗਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ 20-21 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਟੁੱਟੀ ਜੀ ਹੋਂਡਾ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਚਲਾਉਣਾ, ਬੜੇ ਸਹਿਜੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ। ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਝੋਲੀ 'ਚ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਹੀ ਪਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਅਵੇਸਲੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ। So we think that we're going to keep getting. But we must appreciate what we have. We must appreciate what we have, and the faith that we have will carry us forward. So as we see on the streets of Delhi that individuals are dying because of a lack of oxygen, so we are trying to procure concentrators, oxygen concentrators, because unbelievably, their own neighbors are hoarding and selling them for 5 or 10 times the cost, because now is the time to make money and profit off a pandemic. So, on behalf of the volunteers who are giving up many times their health, their families, to showcase what our faith stands for, that Sikhi in reality is action, is to live according to our Guru's teachings. So, as United Sikhs has worked in over 50 disasters worldwide, has served over 2 million meals to those in need in the United States, many times by going to homes and directly to the hospitals in New York, in Seattle, where it was a red zone and nobody would want to even leave the comforts of their homes. Many of our volunteers got COVID. Many were extremely sick. By the grace of the Guru, they're still alive. But that spirit of Chardi Kala is what carries us forward. So for the families here today who have lost a loved one, recognize that we are with you, we stand together. And even more than us, Guru da thapda tade sir te rehna aa. Because when we fail, and we will, Guru Sahib will be there. So on behalf of United Sikhs, we thank everyone attending. We thank everyone for taking their time. We thank all the organizations for getting together and putting together a robust program to showcase what our faith is about and what we can produce when we get together. And in the end, I will sum up by saying that we thank the Almighty, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਅਪਾਰ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਰਹੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਸੀਮਤ ਨਾ ਰਹੀਏ, ਪਰ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਨੂੰ ਦਰਸਾਈਏ, ਦਿਖਾਈਏ, ਹੰਡਾਈਏ। ਤੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ, wherever someone sees a man or a woman with a turban or my sister with a chunni, they do not need to ask what faith you belong to, but rather they appreciate the faith we belong to because our actions have shown what faith we belong to. ਭੁੱਲਾਂ ਚੁੱਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਖਿਮਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਮੇਰਾ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੱਥ ਰੱਖੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਤੇ, ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਤੇ, ਸਹਾਇਤਾ ਕਰੇ, ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਕਰੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Thank you, Gurvinder Singh. Next representative is Amrit Kaur, representing the Sikh Coalition.
Vaiguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji ki Fateh. My name is Amrit Kaur, and I am the legal director at the Sikh Coalition. First and foremost, on behalf of the Sikh Coalition, please allow me to extend our deepest condolences for the families and loved ones of the 8 lives that were taken on the April 15th shooting at the FedEx ground facility. Matthew R. Alexander, Samaria Blackwell, Jasvinder Kaur, Amarjeet Kaur Johal, Carly Ann Smith, Jasvinder Singh, Amarjeet Kaur Sekhon, and John Weisert. These are 8 people beloved by their families, friends, colleagues, and communities. They are 8 people taken from us in a horrific act of violence. And they are the 8 people that we gathered today here to mourn as one community, united in grief, so that we might begin the long journey of healing together. We are also here to recognize the numerous other individuals who were injured, be it physically or emotionally, that same day. And we continue to pray for their full recovery and extend our support to them and their families. We know that many of you will carry this trauma for the rest of your lives, and the Sikh Coalition is here to support you. In addition to our condolences, I want to extend the thanks and gratitude of the Sikh Coalition to everyone who has made today's event possible and everyone who has been working tirelessly for more than 2 weeks to attend to the needs of the Indianapolis community. In that time, I and my Sikh Coalition colleagues have spent numerous opportunities to engage with the Indianapolis community, and we've worked tirelessly to attend to the needs of all of you. We've met with lawyers who are offering pro bono help, mental health professionals, community spokespeople, interfaith leaders, organizers on the ground, allies across the country, and many, many others. All of you and all of us have come together to help those in need process their grief and handle significant challenges. Thank you for all that you have and that you will continue to do. And to those from the Sanghat who are here today and who witnessed this horrible event, or who have friends and family who did, I'd like to take this opportunity to speak directly to you. एक मिनट ले मैं तुहाडे नाल गल करना चाहती हां जिन्हें हादसा देखिया साडी पूरी कम्युनिटी नू हौसला मिलदा वै पर तुहाडी हिम्मत दी चढ़दी कला देख के सानू भी हौसला मिलदा है फिर भी सब नू चाहे जिन्ना भी हिम्मत होवे टाइम तो टाइम मदद और हौसला चाहिदा है सिख कोalition दा मकसद है कि इंडियाना ते संगत नू हमेशा सारा दिता जावे कोई भी लोड़ है जो legal assistance होवे workers compensation probate law visa or immigration जो कोई होर गल सिख कोalition तुहाडे नाल है ਅਸੀਂ पूरी कोशिश करांगे मदद करन ले ਇੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਕਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਡੀਆਨਾ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਜੋੜੀ ਕਰਨਾ For those who may not know the Sikh community well, I promise you that time and again, after we experience backlash, violence, or tragedy, we push forward with strength and resilience. We strive to embody the spirit of Chardikla, or relentless optimism. And no matter how difficult things may get, we press on with gratitude and the hope that we can help to make it better in the service that we do for others. It is the same spirit that we see throughout the city of Indianapolis, of people coming together in common purpose to grieve and to heal and to help one another. It is the same spirit that I see here today in the faces of everyone who has gathered from different backgrounds to pay tribute to those that we lost. In addition to Chardikla, our faith asks us to reflect on the teachings of the 10 gurus, the early leaders of the Sikh tradition who embody the lessons we are meant to carry forward in our lives. I'm reminded today of the story of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, the 9th Guru, who was born many years ago this month. He was killed for his willingness to stand up for others, not members of his own community even. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji paid with his life for asserting what we continue to believe today, that everyone is entitled to practice their faith fearlessly and to be treated equally under the law. Community, equality, and justice are timeless concepts. And of course, we know that without justice, healing remains elusive. It is true that we may never know exactly what was in the heart or mind of the shooter who committed this violence on April 15th. But we do know that a full and transparent investigation of his motives is absolutely essential to finding justice and honoring the memories of those whom were lost. The results of the ongoing investigation will inform the steps that this community and this city take, not only to heal, but to prevent further tragedy in the future. This is how we move forward, with a continued commitment to care for one another and a continued commitment to justice. This and the spirit of Chardikala, that relentless optimism, is how we will work together to build a stronger and more united community. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Next, I would like to welcome Penji Kiran Kaur, who has been instrumental because when you put an event like this together, ਉਹਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਹੱਥ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗ ਸਕਦਾ. So thank you, Kiran, for your dedication and commitment. Kiran Kaur, the Executive Director of SALDEF.
Thank you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Kiran Kaur Gill, and I'm the Executive Director of SALDEF, the Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund based in Washington, D.C. On behalf of SALDEF, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. As we remember, I offer my deepest condolences for your loss. According to Sikhism, death is not just a time for mourning, but a time to gather as Sangat, to remember and to honor those lost. The word Sangat roughly translates to community or congregation. It is through our community and our connection to one another that we find healing and peace. That is why we are here today. We hold fast to one another as we understand the souls of our loved ones have moved on to be with Vaheguru, or the Almighty, as we accept Vaheguru's hukam, or divine order. Kalle ave nanaka, sade uthi jai. Those who are sent come, O Nanak. When they are called back, they depart and go. Hukam encourage us to live in a state of accepting God's will. Grieving is a process by which we try to heal ourselves, and we do this through reciting Gurbani and being with Sangat in community. This helps us reach the final step of grieving, which is acceptance. While we work to accept Vaheguru's hukam, we also understand the incredible impact those lost had on everyone around them and the deep void that is left. We are here to grieve with you, to support you, and to love you. That is the power of Sangat in its most purest form. From the Sikh community nationwide, we hope that we can all be a reservoir of love for all of you through this tragedy as we work together to heal. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Penji Kiran Kaur Gill, for representing SALDEF as well as the broader Sikh community. Next speaker is from the city of Kalamazoo, Michigan. He will be representing Sikh Youth of America, and I request Mr. Gurdev Singh to come to the podium and share his thoughts and his views.
सज्जन मेरे रंगले जाए सुते जे राण ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਸ ਟ੍ਰੈਜਿਕਲ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਰੂਹਾਂ ਸਾਤੋਂ ਵਿਛੜ ਗਈਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਨੂੰ ਸੈਲੀਬ੍ਰੇਟ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਇਕੱਤਰ ਹੋਏ ਹਾਂ। ਸਮਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ 2-4 ਗੱਲਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹਾਂ। ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ 'ਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਵੀਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਰੱਖੇ ਨੇ। ਕਦੀ ਕਦੀ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਣ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਹੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਅਵਗੁਣ ਵੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਅਸੀਂ ਮਿਹਨਤੀ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਹਾਰਡ ਵਰਕਰ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਚਿਆਰੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਤਿਆਰ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਇਹੋ ਹੀ ਵਾਇਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਨਫ਼ਰਤ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਦੇਖਣ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਿਕਲੀਏ, ਅਪਰੋਚ ਕਰੀਏ। ਮੈਜੋਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਮਰੀਕਨ ਬੜੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ। ਮੈਂ ਆਪ ਦੀ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦਾ ਹਾਂ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਵਿਚਰੋ, ਆਪਣੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸੋ, ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲਵ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਗਨ ਨਾਲ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਮੇਨ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਸਿਕਨੈਸ। ਲੋਕੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਵੀ ਬੁਲੰਦ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਵੀਂ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੀ ਕਾਰਨ ਆ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਕੰਮ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਜਾਂ ਮਰ ਜਾਣਾ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਲਾਸਟ ਸਟੇਜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਆਓ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਬੁਲੰਦ ਕਰੀਏ, ਵਰਕ ਟੂਗੈਦਰ ਕਰੀਏ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਬੇਨਤੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਆਪਣੇ 2 ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ। ਵਰਕ ਟੂਗੈਦਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਸ਼ਾਈਨ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਔਖੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਸਮੇਂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੀਏ। ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆਤਮਾਵਾਂ ਸਾਤੋਂ ਵਿਛੜ ਗਈਆਂ ਨੇ, ਰੱਬ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਿਵਾਸ ਬਖਸ਼ੇ। ਵੀ ਅਮੈਰੀਕਨ, ਬਲੈਸ ਅਮੈਰੀਕਾ, ਵਰਕ ਟੂਗੈਦਰ, ਲੈਟ ਬੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਟੂ ਈਚ ਅਦਰ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Thank you, Gurdev Singh Ji, for giving us a positive message, as well as respecting the limitation of time, and he was very succinct with his words. Next speaker is a representative of the World Sikh Parliament. And in Sikhi, there are 3 principles. That when you serve with tan, your physical body, you serve with man, your mind, and you serve with tan, which is money. And this individual has served humanity with all 3 of those items that I just mentioned. He has come here from Virginia, and he will be sharing his thoughts with us, Mr. Balwinder Singh Chatta.
अव्वल अल्लाह नूर अपाया कुदरत के सब बंदे एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया कौन भले को मंदे। First God created light, and what his creative power he made all mortal things. From the one light of entire universe welded up. So who is bad, who is good? These hymns written by Bhagat Kabir Ji in Guru Granth Sahib, a Sikh religious book, page 1349. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. Good afternoon, my dear fellow Americans. My name is Balwinder Singh Chatta. I came from Washington, D.C. I came here to Indianapolis, Indiana to pay my respect and love for the innocent lives lost at FedEx facilities building. It's worth to remembering their names: Matthew Alexander, Jaswinder Singh, Samarai Blackwell, Amarjeet Kaur Johal, Jaswinder Kaur, Amarjeet Singh Kaur Sekhon, Carly Smith, John Wessert. These lives were tragically cut short by a 19-year-old young disturbed man. This is a great loss to community of Indianapolis as well as family and friends, of course, our nation, United States of America. Since we have been seeing these tragic again and again in our country, of course, question raised what we can do. The answer is we should spread love, respect, and solidarity for all in our society. On behalf of World Sikh Parliament, we pay our respect, sympathy, and solidarity to all the families who lost their loved ones. ਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਾ ਚੀਰੀ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਤੇਹਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਕਮਾਏ ਕੱਲੇ ਆਵੇ ਨਾਨਕਾ ਸੱਦੇ ਉੱਠੇ ਜਾਏ. These two lines I'm quoting from Guru Granth Sahib's holy book written by ਦੂਸਰੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੁਰੂ ਅੰਗਦ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ on Ang 1239, in which English means, as his decree is issued, so is his command obeyed. O Nanak, when they are called, they depart and go. Again, on behalf of World Sikh Parliament, a social, religious, economic, political, and right organization, I pay my respect and love to all of you and all who depart from us and the injured. Again, at the end, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੋ COVID-19 ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਖਾਂ ਆਦਮੀ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਜਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਗਏ ਹਨ, ਜਗਤ ਜਲੰਦਾ ਰੱਖ ਲਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਧਾਰ. Hey God, hey Guru, hey Nanak, the world is going up in flames. Please show your mercy and save it. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
Thank you, Balwinder Singh Chatta. When I graduated high school, the keynote speaker said, today you're leaving the student life and going into the real world, but make sure you take one word with you, and the word is gratitude. So as we thank all the speakers, I would like to go ahead and thank you for your time, for your kindness, for your patience. And I would also like to go ahead and express my gratitude to the media team, to the security team, and to everybody else who has done their part, who may not be recognized from the microphone, but we truly do appreciate each and every single one of you who has made this event possible. Thank you once again. And as we conclude today's event, we would like to tell you that the video that we attempted to play earlier with the message from Valerie Kaur, it beautifully put together. Sat Sri Akal. As you exit your way, if you could just stand up and keep your eyes on the screen and spend your next 5 to 6 minutes to receive the message from Valerie Kaur, we will once again will be gratefully thankful to you guys, and thank you so very much. We do express our sincere gratitude. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
I was just putting my girls to bed, and as Sikhs have done nightly for centuries, we sang Sohila. And one line stuck with me. Tum gavo mere nirpo ka Sohila. Ho vari jit Sohile, sada sukh hoye raho. Sing the song of my fearless one. I sacrifice myself to that song. That is eternal joy. Fearlessness in the face of hate. Joy in the face of terror.
My father was a farmer from a rural village in Punjab. My mother was also a farmer. And I recall one of the fondest memories that I have about him is how deep he used to dig his hands into the soil. If this is a land that is formed from genocide, colonization, slavery, then we must all become like our ancestors, like my father, and all become farmers. And we need to dig our hands so deep in this soil that we change the bedrock and the foundation of this country going forward for our children.
I am here to stand in solidarity with my Sikh family. I am here to bring visibility to my Asian kindred because I know, as a product of the Black church tradition, that our well-being, our flourishing, and indeed our liberation are tied together.
We will not forget the beautiful lives we lost in Indianapolis last week, and that we will stand with you together for as long as it takes, today, tomorrow, until we can have true justice and healing in this country.
It's when we stand together and we stand together at the front line that actually that's when the healing of my community began to take place. And so we will be with you. We will be with you in the darkest hour, and we will continue to be with you.
We are connected. And when you hurt, we hurt. When I hurt, you hurt. When death visits the Sikh community, death visits us all.
We call on America to lift up and not forget these our Sikh brothers and sisters, because we cannot be selective. We have to have the capacity to see it all, to mourn it all, to cry over it all, to stand against it all, to fight against it all. We all are brothers and sisters, and we all have life that no human being has a right to take.
We've been reminded that while there is shared pain, there is also shared struggle. We've been reminded that even though everything is heavy and everything is hard, that we can look to the strength and resilience and histories of our ancestors.
Our ancestors refused to submit and disappear. They hung fast to our languages, our spiritualities, and our cultures. It's those things, the things that make us who we are, that give us strength. The very things they wanted to eradicate is what helped us to persevere and to survive.
The scream is being awakened in us today. With every gunshot, we are roused to scream to the Holy One, to insist that there must be another way.
We will tell new stories about ourselves and about our world, stories of hope and healing, stories of justice and belonging, stories of redemption, and stories of revolutionary love.
And I can tell you that from this, we will all come out stronger. If there's anything that I can do, my community can do for any one of you at this time, please don't hesitate in reaching out. I stand with you tonight, and I will stand with you for as long as you will let me.
Say, I am lost in the desert. Your voice calls me home.
We bear witness to each other's suffering and anguish, and in that bearing witness is a healing.
I'm going out to educate more people, tell about my turban, tell about my culture, tell about my Sikhism, who we are.
I know this work is bigger than my people, that I have a larger community that wants what my people want, which is safety and true freedom. Freedom from hate, freedom to love, freedom to live and to thrive.
Somebody's first call. Oh, somebody's beloved.
Remember, you don't have to know people in order to grieve with them. You grieve with them in order to know them. Sikhs are not just victims. We have wisdom to offer America about longevity and resilience in the face of oppression. Our gathering tonight is in the Sikh spirit of Chardi Kala, ever rising spirits even in darkness, ever rising joy even in the labors for justice, as if to say, they can colonize us, they can terrorize us, they can massacre us, but they cannot crush us. We are sovereign.
ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।